Thanks for talking with me. What is your name and what do you do?
My name is Carmona, Ericacarmona, and I have quite a few different titles here at Talent Maker City. I am the lead elementary instructor. I teach computer science professional development. I teach Spanish as professional development, and we're working a little bit on our website right now.
Can you describe your typical workday?
So generally I come in and we kind of get our bulletin board set up. We might have a huddle of what needs to get done throughout the week. We prioritize, and then from there we split off into our different groups. Sometimes we're having the interns help us with some of the things and the different projects, and we just get things done throughout the week. Every week is different.
How would you describe your place in the community?
Yeah, Talent Maker City, we're very inclusive. We're building a more prosperous and resilient community. We look to uplift those in our community and offer them different types of workshops or supplies, or we're a lot more than a makerspace. However, a lot of people do use us as a makerspace. We try to hold a lot of different types of community events that everyone can come to. Generally, they're free. We try to make everything as accessible as possible. We're community driven, and so that means we're also feedback driven. So everything that we provide are things that people have asked us for, or we're always looking for different ways to improve. We try to foster belonging and community by consistently being there within the community. We try our best to be there at the different events. Specifically, when I'm working with the elementary school, I try to be there for different events that they hold, and we really just try to make our presence known, and that we support them and we're here for them, and that we are together with them.
How did you get into the profession?
I've always been very focused on my education. My dad didn't receive a lot of education when he was growing up, so it was definitely a top priority. And so when I was in middle school, I was very into art and not so much sports, but a little bit. And let's see, I'm trying to think of where I was going with that. But I knew since I was in kindergarten that I wanted to be a teacher and inspire other students and be that person for them that they could relate to and feel comfortable with and feel supported while at school, because students spend a lot of their life while they're at school.
What do you want for your students?
I hope that they can see within themselves what I see in them, and not only that, but that they will act on what they see in themselves. I find that they can sometimes limit themselves, and oftentimes I just hear them say, oh, I can't do this, or, you know, this and that, but they had never actually tried to do any of these things, and or they didn't have the skills to. So it's like, yeah, of course you can't do that yet. You know, you haven't learned any of these things. So it makes me feel really empowered that I was able to help a student see in themselves what I see in them. It's very interesting because, you know, you can't make anybody do anything, and so it's kind of this, like, not double-edged sword, but it can be tricky. It is seeing their progress throughout the years and being able to see them start with us in kindergarten, and now they're graduating from high school. And so it's just really amazing to see that kind of that they believe in us as much as we believe in them. That they believe in our program and working on themselves and trying to gain different skills, and yeah, just preparing them for life.
What kinds of challenges have you encountered along the way?
Man, where do I start? Yeah, again, my dad didn't have access to a lot of education when he was growing up. So he was learning English when I was growing up on top of that. And I knew from a pretty young age that I wanted to go to college and pursue a career in education. And he's always been very supportive of that. But of course, it's hard being a first-generation college student, because you don't have anyone to help guide you through sending in applications and getting moved in and moving away from home and not having anybody there when you're used to being at home with a community, with your family, all of that. And then when I was in college, I worked about 3 jobs, and I was the treasurer and social media person for our lacrosse team. So I did that for about 3 years with the jobs and going to school. I took about probably 20 credits for quite a few terms, and I would take summer classes. It was a lot of really hard work, and then trying to think, probably my sophomore year, I was diagnosed with a mental disorder. Is that even the right word? I think it is. And I feel like after that, it almost made it easier, because I realized that things weren't necessarily hard for no reason. But like there were other reasons on top of those that you can see. Mostly my family is what kept me going. They look up to me. I have a lot of cousins that live in Mexico, and they would love to be in my shoes, and so I feel like it's part of my responsibility to show them the things that they can do as well. Yeah, in myself finishing college, I hope that they as well stay in school and pursue their dreams.
What are some things that you wish people knew about the work that you do?
Yeah, I wish they knew that students have a lot of feelings, and they're allowed to feel what they go through throughout the day. We might think that they are trivial things, or that we don't have enough time to help them process these things, or that maybe the student brought it on themselves, but all behaviors that students have are communicating something. So maybe it's communicating that they don't understand expectations of them, right? Maybe expectations are different at school than they are at home, or the expectations that they have with their friends are different than with their family, but they don't understand and they don't know how to navigate it. I think the biggest thing I hear from students is just that they wish somebody would sit down and listen to them. You know, they're not always even looking for answers to their problems or a solution, a way to fix it. They just want somebody to sit there, have compassion, have a genuine human connection, and just listen to them. It's very important for students to have somebody that will actually listen to them and just sit down, and maybe, you know, it doesn't even have to be one-on-one. They can be still in the classroom or in a big group or anything like that. But if you think about their start of their day to the end of their day, for some students it can be very chaotic, and you don't know, you know, what has gone on before, after, what they're nervous about, what they're excited about. And sometimes they just go from class to class or from teacher to teacher, and they just kind of get shuffled along, and they don't even have really time to think about anything. And yeah, they don't necessarily have time to even feel their own emotions. So then what I have noticed is that sometimes there will just be a buildup of it, and then one thing will happen and everything starts coming out.
What was school like for you?
Yeah, when I was in middle school, I've always struggled with history and social studies. Those are the same things. History and science, but I was pretty good at math. Everything was consistent. That was something that I really liked about it. But the main thing that I was interested in was art. I was lucky enough to have a program where we did art probably 3 days out of the week. That was amazing for me. I feel like it was time that I could use to think about different things. When I was in high school, yeah, same thing. I was interested in art. I did track and field. But primarily, since I was a kid, I've always just been focused on helping other people. That has always been my main interest. Even from the start of like 2nd grade, I would go into the kindergarten class and read them a book or do something like that.
Do you have any advice for students who are trying to find their way?
That would be hard. I would probably suggest, from what I've noticed people struggling with in college, is when they start changing their degrees too many times. To an extent, it can be important which degree you choose. However, once you start changing it too many times, it really starts to extend how many years you're in college. And yes, sometimes you're putting them onto loans, but once you're in a loan, it can make things harder once you start moving in further in life that some students probably won't think about. So if you have really high student debt, you're not going to be able to get a loan for a car, let alone a loan for a house. So you really want to think about what you want from life, and go from there. When I was growing up, elementary school, middle school, high school, even now a little bit, not as much as before, but I used to always just be like terrified of the future. I had no idea what was going to happen, and it just felt very overwhelming. It felt like I wasn't gonna make it through it. But I just kept going every day, and I just kept going back to school, and I was doing my homework and doing all the things that I was supposed to be doing. And even though I was supposed to be doing it, it felt incredibly hard, and I wanted to give up all the time. And so finishing college is probably one of the biggest accomplishments that I've done so far. Yeah, there was a lot of feelings of fear and hopelessness before I went to college, but I do believe that everyone is capable of achieving the things that they want to achieve. They just really have to work for it, and some people do have to work harder than others. But the important thing is finding your community and finding people that can support you through it, because you don't want to do it alone. When I was growing up, my dad would work anywhere from 10 hours a day to 16 hours a day. He was busy 6 to 7 days of the week. And so there was definitely a lot of value in it because that's how we survived. But it was very hard to live like that without him there. And I think it's hard because I encourage my students so much to think about their emotions and to sit with it, but I have a very hard time doing it myself. So I do a lot of the similar things as my dad, where I kind of just throw myself into work so that I don't have to focus on the other things. But if you're only working all the time and you're only feeling stressed and maybe trying to avoid your emotions, then you're also not able to feel any of the good emotions. It's really hard, and I think that people don't realize how hard it is. But I do hope that you can see that there's other people that have gone through what you've gone through, and I know that it just kind of sounds cheesy, and I hope it doesn't sound like toxic positivity, but like, you really can do it. And I do hope that you believe in yourself and push yourself to achieve the things that you want to achieve in life.